Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We are inside today because it is snowy and blowy, and we're in central Canada, so it's 40 below. It's not fun. So I thought we'd film the dogs inside today. Whiskey's down here, tequila's behind me, and vodka's over kind of off to my side here. They're all pretty tired. We had some coyote activity last night, so the two of them, not Whiskey, vodka and tequila, were quite busy, quite on their game, keeping those coyotes out of here, because that's your job. You're such a good girl. Yeah, you're the best girl. Yeah, you're the best girl. So they did a good job. So I thought I would take the opportunity to answer a question someone had. Someone asked, what do I do if my livestock guardians are being aggressive towards my livestock? So that's an important question because it shouldn't happen. It's not a good thing. You absolutely cannot have a livestock guardian out with your livestock if they're going to attack your goats or your chickens or whatever it is you have. It's not safe, obviously. You don't want to end up with hurt livestock. So why does this happen? Well, remember the instincts of a livestock guardian. Their job is to get rid of anything that doesn't belong. Get rid of anything that is a threat, that isn't supposed to be there. So if your dogs, if your livestock guardians, your Great Pyrenees or your Kangles or whatever you have, if they are being aggressive towards your livestock, it's because they either think of the livestock as a threat, so they're a danger to the farm, or they think they just don't belong at the farm. And that's a failure of yours. You didn't properly introduce your livestock guardian to your livestock, and they do need to be introduced. Now, ideally, you would have the puppy out with the livestock from day one, okay? From the time they're very, very tiny. You would have them out with the livestock so they understand the livestock is also their family. However, that doesn't always happen. So we got Tequila when she was about 12 weeks old, almost 13 weeks old. So she was 3 months old when we got her. Vodka was only 2 months old. The difference is extraordinary. So Tequila took a little bit more to get used to our livestock than Vodka did because he was just so much younger. Now, she did phenomenal. She chased a chicken one time. That was it. And we dealt with it and we moved on. She wasn't showing aggression. She was trying to play. So we'll deal with that issue in another video. She wasn't actually being aggressive. If your dog is being aggressive towards the livestock, that probably means you're a little bit too quick to introduce the livestock guardian to the livestock. Because if you don't have your puppy at like 6 to 8 weeks old, you do have to do an introduction. Whiskey's moving around. So what that means is if your puppy was a little bit older, they're already starting to get their protective instincts, and once they figure out this is my property to protect, they're going to drive off anything they don't think belongs there. So if they don't think it belongs there, they're going to chase it. They could even hurt it. In order to convince your dog that those animals belong there, you're going to have to back off a little bit. So you want to start by getting far enough away from the livestock with the dog on a lead. Okay, always use a lead until you're sure of your dog. So put your dog on a lead and approach the livestock. Find out where that threshold is. At what point do they start to get irritated? Do they start to get worked up? You want the point of calm right before the point of getting worked up over the livestock. So you're kind of going to have to do a little experimenting, move your dog back and forth, find out where the dog is calm. Get the dog to that calm spot on a lead. And then you're going to want to do a training session. It doesn't matter what training session. You can be talking about learning to sit, learning to come, learning to fetch. It doesn't matter. As long as you're doing something with the dog, doing something that's distracting to the dog. So you might be doing a lot of recall work. You might be practicing your sit stays, whatever. It really doesn't matter. Just pick a thing you want to practice. And practice, practice, practice. Because the goal is not the training session. It's to distract the dog. To be in the vicinity of those animals and nothing bad is happening. You're not overreacting. The dog is just doing the dog things. Learning to sit, learning to lay down. So just practice those things. Even if your dog already knows how to do that, do a reinforcement session. So just practice, practice, practice. Do that for a couple of days. And then after a couple of days, try decreasing the distance. So move in a little bit. Then training session. Practice, 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 practice. Distract the dog. Then again, a couple days later, move closer still. And you just keep doing that. If your dog freaks out and starts getting aggressive towards the livestock, then generally what that means is you moved a little too fast. So move back. So just move back one step. Don't move back to the beginning because that's not going to help. Move back one step where the dog was calm last, and then just keep going. Just keep hopping through until you are right at the fence or whatever it is that contains your animals. Keep practicing. So if possible, practice multiple times a day for a couple times each time. It may take a little while. Usually it only takes a few days because livestock guardians are the kind to protect. So usually it only takes a couple of days and then the dog gets the idea. You want to move closer and closer and closer, get to that fence line, and then move inside that fence line. Again, dog is still on a lead, and just keep practicing. Practice makes perfect. You just want the dog to understand that they're not a threat, that your goats are not a threat, that your chickens are not invading. Those are your chickens. You want them there. That's what you're trying to convey. So it'll also help. You have to check yourself because it's helpful if your dog can see you being calm and happy with your livestock. So if you're walking the dog amongst the livestock and you're tense and worried, holding that lead and, oh, I hope he doesn't eat the chicken. If you're doing that, then the problem is going to get worse because you're tense, but the dog doesn't know why. They just know you're tense, and they're going to associate that level of tension with the animals you're walking around. So take the dog on a lead, be calm, relaxed, happy as you pet your horses or brush your goats or feed your chickens or whatever tasks you're doing. So you have to stay calm though. If you panic, the dog is going to think you're panicking because of the livestock, and that's only going to make the issue worse. So keep control of the dog, keep control of yourself, just keep everybody calm and happy. Happy interactions will eventually work, even if it takes a few days or even a few weeks. It will eventually work. Their instincts will kick in. It just takes a little bit of time. So remember, practice, practice, practice. Get closer and closer. If the dog overreacts, pull them back a step, and just keep practicing until your dog is calm and relaxed around the livestock and starts to understand that he or she should protect the livestock and not kill them. Because that's ultimately the goal. Anyway, that's about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. We'll see you tomorrow.